When you're losing that much, it means that you have unrecognized revenue and unrecognized losses that you can capitalize, especially in times when times are difficult, to make more money and to convert those losses into revenue. And that specifically is the difference between making 2% at a restaurant or making 10%.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We have a special guest today, Steve Anka. Steve, where are you calling from today?
Today, I'm in beautiful Dallas, Texas. It's glorious and blue sky outside.
That's amazing. What's the temperature like?
Let's see. It is about 22 degrees Celsius. No wind. Unfortunately, not quite the same that you're experiencing, but it's very nice outside.
Unfortunately, fortunately, have no snow and snowstorms and ice and everything else. So you got good weather. All right.
It's pretty nice.
I saw that Bevchek focuses heavy on beverages intelligence and cost control. What originally pulled you into this space?
Yeah. So we started in this space because of the need to track what's happening inside of a hospitality location, specifically centric around draft beer. The industry suffers from significant losses in locations based on the habits of staff and the transient nature of the industry, combined with the ability and the long-term adaptability of hospitality. It's been subject to extreme inventory losses for a long time. We started specifically in Vancouver, in 6. We were operating breweries that still exist in Vancouver, and we wanted to know what was coming out of our bright tanks and serving our guests to better understand our own cost of goods and our own inventory tracking. We took this product and expanded upon it in order to enable our guests and clients to make sure that everything is operating properly and inventory is being used to be maximally efficient.
Cool. What's something people misunderstand about profitability in hospitality or in your industry?
I think the average person doesn't understand how slim the margins are in hospitality. If you're running an excellent restaurant and you're doing your job properly, you're only making 8 to 10%, and it's a very low margin industry. But it also has a significantly high turnover rate and level of complexity. So it's very easy for things to go wrong. Hospitality locations, especially restaurants, bars, and pubs, have lots of systems that are intermingled and work together to create the experience that we all see every single day within hospitality. But these various systems and these touch points don't allow for consistent and easy operation. So we have to make sure that these operations are put together properly and operating properly. And when we walk into restaurants as an average person, we're not thinking about the fact that this restaurant only makes 8% or 10% margin on a good day. It is a challenging industry that everybody thinks is easy, that has low barrier to entry, but it is extremely complicated. If you think about your total budget, 30% of it goes to the property and your rent, 30% of it goes to operation, 30% of it goes to labor, which only leaves the owners and operators 10%. And that's the one piece that most people don't think about.
Okay. Can you share a bit about your role at Bevchek and how it fits into the bigger vision of the company?
Yeah, I try and push the company forward to make sure that we are expanding our technologies in the direction that hospitality seeks to operate. We obviously specialize in the draft beer space, and that started around accounting and inventory, making sure that we tracked every pint and every drop of beer that came out of the faucets. But as the industry grows and evolves, so must we. It's change or die. So we expanded our technology offering to make sure that we are growing into a space where hospitality operators want to exist, grow into spaces that allow their jobs to be easier and their lives to be easier. If we can automate aspects of the complicated hospitality industry and take a single piece out of the hands of an operator, it means that they are better equipped to make or to be profitable, especially with margins so slim. With only 10%, everything that they can do to increase margins and increase their operational efficiency is critical to their ongoing success.
Yep. Who is your ideal client? Independent operators, hotel groups, or restaurant chains?
Bars, pubs, restaurants, stadiums, golf courses, sushi bars. If you have draft beer, we automate it. From a single tap sushi bar or a chain of sushi bars in Arizona to the largest national chains and clients. We do stadiums, cruise ships, golf courses. Our job is to make sure that if they have draft beer, they don't think about it, they don't worry about it. We take care of it for them.
Cool. What major shifts are you seeing right now in the food beverage operations?
Now that's interesting. So when you look at hospitality in general, especially on premise, the changes to the beverage mix has been extreme. We look at pop or soda as a diminishing category from the legacy aspect and the legacy flavors, but then you have new products coming into the market that have never been seen before. Protein-based or gastronomically based products, non-alcoholic products are exploding in terms of their popularity. At the same time, we see diminishing aspects around liquor and beer. Part of that is generational. Part of it's just a swing in the ebb and flow of the industry itself. But when we look at the overall category mix of beverage within hospitality, draft beer itself has significantly declined. Liquor has significantly declined. Wine has stayed about flat. But non-alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic specialty beverages have grown exponentially over the last 36 to 48 months. That trend seems to be continuing, and the employment market is adjusting for it, and the suppliers are adjusting for it. And as the industry alters, it is creating both opportunities and challenges for market operators and hospitality operators to move with the times. We are also seeing, unfortunately, a decline in attendance in on-premise restaurants, bars, and pubs, in the overall attendance and spend, for a variety of reasons that go beyond this conversation.
Understandably, the economic outlook is a little bit different, let's just say, comparing to 5-10 years ago.
It is. You think of 10 years ago, you could buy you could go to a bar and buy a pint or a glass of wine for $4 or $5, $6 if it's nice. And these days you're looking at $10 in Canada, at $10, $12 for a pint of Guinness. In the United States, you're looking at $8 to $10, which means that beverage inside of hospitality, drinks especially alcohol, grown in price so significantly, they are essentially pricing themselves out of the market.
Wow. You mentioned the non-alcoholic beverages. Can you give me a couple examples? I mean, what type are we looking at? Is non-alcoholic beer, or is it just some kind of other drinks?
Alternative types of soda are coming into the market. There's types of soda that focus on the internal gastrointestinal health of people that we see a lot of in hospitality.
Interesting.
Brands like Poppy that was recently purchased by Coca-Cola, I think, for 1 point some odd billion dollars. So that's a big category that's growing. Non-alcoholic beer has gone everywhere. There's a brewery in Nashville called Athletic. They're actually not a brewery because they don't make beer. They make a non-alcoholic beer, so more of a hop water. Non-alcoholic beers are very common. They create different challenges inside of hospitality, but they are a significantly growing market segment that has to be addressed.
Wow, that is quite interesting, to be honest. I mean, I'm
It is.
into those things myself, so I'm kind of surprised it's actually exploding everywhere as well.
It's all over the place. And it does change the way that hospitality operators have to think about their beverage program, because you're not able to charge the same dollar amount when it comes. You can't cost it the same as an alcoholic beverage because people know that it's different. The non-alcoholic beer may be on tap, it may be in a bottle or a can, but you cannot or should not charge the same for that product as you do for an alcoholic product, but it is the fastest growing category and segment within hospitality right now.
Wow. Any drinks which have adaptogens that you heard of?
I'm sorry?
Adaptogens.
I'm not familiar with the word.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically, it has health benefits for the brain.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, absolutely. And actually, I really expect that to grow significantly, because if there are people buying products that are good for their gastrointestinal health and, like you said, for their mental health, then I do expect there to be other types of cocktails. I mean, if you think about cannabis cocktails, they're everywhere. They're on tap, in bottles, on cans now. In Canada, it's across the country. In the United States, kind of depends on the state that you're in and the time of the day you're in. But we are a divergence in the simplicity of the beverage programs into simply beer, wine, liquor, and soda or pop, into significantly modified category substrates that have secondary forms of licensing on top of them. They have different price points. They do different things. They create different types of liability within hospitality. They bring to light a number of things within the industry that we've never considered before, and nobody has. And I'm not entirely sure the industry is prepared for that swing, but we're in the middle of it right now. So like it or not, it's coming.
Wow. That's exciting. That's actually very exciting. Let's just see here. How are rising supplier costs and shrinking margins impact operations today?
Well, that's kind of the crux of the situation within hospitality, and that's the piece that we are all trying to adjust and work through right now, because nobody knows where it's going to go. And the last The last 5 years have seen significant turbulence not only within the economy, but within the hospitality market at all. So when we look at the rising supplier costs, hospitality locations are forced to make decisions around which products they feel they are able to maximize their efficiency and their profitability with. This does create mistakes and opportunity within the market. I think that as people make adjustments to their own product category mix, you can see changes and their attempted adaptations to what's happening. Now, where these product prices go depends on a lot of things that are outside of the industry's control. When we think of rising tariff costs and transportation costs, there's logistic. So how this evolves in the market is going to be interesting to see. But those people that are in front of it now, that think about it today and how they're going to adjust their own menu and adjust their own product mix, are going to be best positioned to take advantage of any opportunities. It also means that they're going to be the most flexible. So if there are products that come to market that are more efficient for their industry or their business, they're able to respond faster to it. And those small changes within an operator's mindset are going to allow them to continue to seek for that 10% margin, that slim margin that restaurants and hospitality operates on.
Do you think most hospitality leaders actually know their true beverage variance?
That's an interesting question. And I think that most people would like to say that they do. And it's one of the challenges of the industry. The industry at large comes from itself. Bartenders become managers, managers become owners. And I think that we are all very right. And everybody within the industry would like to say they are correct. It is possible to understand in terms of a greater, from a P&L perspective, from a financial perspective. But when it comes to specific losses around food, liquor, wine, beer, they were generally not able to provide a specific number. It's more of a category designation than anything else. They would, I think, say in general that they know and understand their inventory and their losses or shrinkage there within. But I think that there is significant evidence to point that they are not quite as equipped to handle these inventory questions as they might want to think they are.
Okay. How much revenue leakage typically goes unnoticed in a mid-size operation?
Well, it's interesting. Based on a product category, it depends. If you think about what the mix is of a restaurant, a wine bar is generally going to have a better loss rate or variance than a pub, and that's mostly because wine is easier to sell. It comes in a bottle. Bottled beer has low loss percentage rates. You think about 8, 9, 10% loss. Liquor, kind of the same, but a little bit higher. Liquor generally runs within the 16 to 18% loss rate. And that is to say that 16 to 18% of liquor is just gone, vanished, disappeared. Could be theft, could be waste, could be spillage, all sorts of things. But that is to say that 16% of their liquor just disappears. Beer is a little bit higher. Beer is a fluid pressure system. And draft beer runs generally between 20 and 22%, according to the National Restaurant Association in the United
Oh,
States.
wow.
Canadian Hospitality Association says 18 to 22%. The Brewers Association of North America says between 20 and 24%. But everybody hovers around that 20% mark. And that number has proved to be very true as years have passed. Some operations are significantly higher. Stadiums generally run in the 30 to 35% range. That is to say that 30 to 35% of their liquor and beer is just gone for a variety of reasons. We have seen on our side as high as 45 or 46% at large stadiums and arenas. But that also presents an opportunity. When you're losing that much, it means that you have unrecognized revenue and unrecognized losses that you can capitalize, especially in times when times are difficult, to make more money and to convert those losses into revenue. And that specifically is the difference between making 2% at a restaurant or making 10%.
Where do you think this 40% goes? Just out of curiosity, just a pipeline somewhere else in somebody's basement?
I mean, it generally works out to a split. Half of it comes down to laziness. It's not caring when you spill something. It's opening up a beer tap and letting it run. It's pouring liquor down the drain or over the glass, out of the shot glass, out of the jigger, and just not caring. So about half the losses, generally speaking, are due to laziness or training issues, and then half is due to theft. It could be theft proactively, or it could be just giving things away because you feel that's part of the job as a bartender. And those two categories of loss cover that in total, but it's the mix of those particular aspects that separates the good operators from the poor operators.
Fascinating. Is this more of a systems issue, people's issue, or a visibility issue, you think?
Well, it is a people issue. There is no question about that. Like I said, it could be it could be a training issue, or it could be a theft issue. It could be a non-compliance issue from staff. So it is definitely a people issue. That's where it starts, because at the end of the day, hospitality is a people business. I'm not sure that any of us would go to hospitality restaurants or the bar or the pub or a restaurant very often if we were being served by a robot, because at the
Not
end of the
yet.
day, hospitality is about people. It's people taking care of people. And for a long time, bartenders and service staff feel or have felt that providing free drinks or free soda is just part of the job. But the reality is that the job of a bartender or server is to take a food product and beer or liquor and turn it into money for the hospitality location. That's the gig. That's the job. That's the entire industry. But it's also an industry that doesn't have the visibility or clarity to actually understand these losses. So the industry has, for 60 years, just accepted those losses as part of doing business. It's just the cost of doing business. And that's bananas. Can you imagine Toyota just losing 20% of their trucks and they call that regular business? Of course not. They know where all their trucks are. I'm sure I don't know what their losses are, but it's going to be so small because that's their job. That's the business. Think about gasoline. Gasoline costs about $65 a keg. Like if you were to take a beer keg and fill it up with gasoline, it's about 65 bucks. And they track those kegs, they track gasoline to the thousandths of an ounce in real time across the planet. They know where every drop of gasoline is 24/7, 365. But in hospitality, we can take that same keg and not spend 75 bucks on gas to fill it up. We spend $250 for a keg of Guinness, and then 20% of it just disappears. That's madness. In an industry that only makes 8 to 10% margin, that we're losing 20% of a product. That's crazy. So there's a huge variability within hospitality that has to be managed, but there's no reason that we have to accept these loss rates as being normal. And the only industry in the world that accepts 20% loss as a standard operating procedure, as the cost of doing business. That's nuts, especially with margins so thin and times tight. You can't accept those losses being normal. And that's the job. Because if we can provide insight into hospitality operators on a product they're losing 20% of, it means that we're putting money straight to their bottom line and ensuring their long-term success as margins get tighter.
Wow. That's going to be a
It's
pretty good
crazy.
magic segment, to be honest.
20% loss. Like, are we nuts?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, in terms of cars, of course they track all the cars, but sometimes when they're shipping electric vehicles, one of the cars can short and set the entire ship on fire. That happened a couple
For
of times.
sure.
They just abandoned the ship.
But that's still explained losses.
Yes.
They can still look at that ship and go, all right, we lost 45 cars or 1,000 cars, and we write it off, but we know why. There was a dead man failure on a battery, or there was a thermal runaway within some battery
Yeah.
system. They know why it
An
happens. And in
exception.
hospitality, they have no clue. None. Don't know. It's just gone.
Yeah, that's fascinating, actually. That's a really good product. When a new client comes to you, what's usually broken with their systems?
Well, I mean, it could be a lot of things. I mean, obviously, we specialize within draft beer. So, draft beer products and draft beer systems have been neglected for a very long time. Unfortunately, because it's a system, it just kind of gets ignored. So, when we go into new operations, we're able to look at what they're doing within their draft beer system, what's working, what isn't working. I mean, when we think about a draft beer system, it gets a little bit nuanced, but there's the cooler in the back. Is it the right temperature? Are the lines the right temperature? Are the lines cleaned? Are the faucets cleaned? In the back, there's a refrigeration pump called a power pack, and that's actually what's keeping the beer cold when it moves from the cooler to the tap. Is it working properly? And the answer is, generally speaking, no, it's not. It gets ignored because they turn it on, they put it in the ceiling, and they never think about it again. So our job when we first talk to new operations and we talk to new clients is to understand what they're actually doing right now for maintenance, for preventative maintenance. Do they have service on their draft beer systems? And as we start to install our sensor systems, we're able to tell them what they're doing right or wrong. Generally speaking, hospitality operators know that there is going to be an issue, but because they are unable to self-diagnose it or even understand where the problem might be, they generally ignore it. they put it to the side. It's kind of like that orange light that comes on your dash in your car. You just ignore it and move on. But eventually it comes back to you and eventually something fails. So when we look at new clients and new operations, we start with temperature, because with draft beer specifically, temperature is king. Temperature is everything. If you want it to pour properly, if you want it to work properly, temperature is where we start. From there, we go into whether or not the lines are clean, the beer is clean, the system is working properly, it's pressurized properly. But temperature is always the problem.
Interesting. Yeah, of course, because it combines the beer is basically the gas and liquid together. So the temperature is definitely
Yeah.
going to affect it. What's working well for the top percent of the operators?
What is working well for the top percent of operators?
Top 10%.
They're intense. They are data focused, data managed. They are looking at their business as a business. Too often, hospitality, whether it's a small little sushi bar or Mexican taco restaurant, up to the largest national chains, if an operator is looking at their business like a business, they are much better equipped to handle not only the changes, but to make money as a business. And we've seen this, and I've seen this from the largest chains. You'll have a regional director that views a restaurant as a place to hang out with his buddies, and the staff, they're all friends, and we're just going to hang out and serve some dinner. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but that's not a business. And the best operators treat their business as a business, and they are guided by the numbers that lead them to success. Where are most operators flying blind? Obviously, draft beer, they've got nothing. They don't have any concept of what's happening inside their systems. They don't even know why that's happening. Liquor as well is another big one. There's no question. With 16% loss rates, they don't know why. Most locations don't do inventory at all. They don't even start to understand. A large part of that is because they don't.
Something happens to your microphone?
Yeah, I think a large part of what happens with operators is that they look at the losses, especially around their beverage program, and they simply believe that there isn't a solution, or that the solution's too complicated. And the action of that belief causes them to simply ignore the losses within their location. When we think about losses for a second, we look at their food program, and most operations lose, 5 to 8%, which is not bad. There is some loss. That's the way kitchens work. So there is loss in terms of their inbound product. I mean, the after purchase and in service is a different question. But on their inbound purchases, they're still losing 5 to 8% through their prep and through a number of other things. But they see it, they can touch it, they can feel it. They understand when they're prepping wings, there is going to be some loss, weight loss. When they're prepping steaks, they know there's going to be some weight loss, and they can see that, they can touch it and feel it. When you look at liquor, it's a little bit easier because now you've got a bottle, and it's intrinsically, or you understand that this bottle should make you X number of drinks. And I'm not sure, like, where did it go? Was it given away? Where's the variance? But again, you can touch it and feel it. With draft beer systems, it's a little bit different because they don't know. They just easily flows down the drain, and you've got a big stainless steel can in the back, and beer comes from that, and poof, you get money. But they have no insight into it. And the lack of insight and clarity creates confusion within the actual operation itself. And that confusion stimulates the desire to simply ignore it. If you can't fix it, if you don't believe you can fix it, then you simply put it to the side and work on something you believe you can fix. And that is the opportunity, specifically within hospitality.
Which KPIs should every operator track weekly, but often?
KPIs is an interesting question because some are easy and some are hard. But but also the industry has different KPIs in a lot of other industries. When you think about cost of goods sold, it's a standard KPI. Every business in the world calculates it. But in hospitality, we don't. We calculate on beverage, for example, we calculate pour cost. And pour cost is the cost of goods sold, but it does not include labor. It doesn't include operations. It doesn't include the building. So it's not a true cost of goods sold within the beverage program. So the hospitality industry has kind of carved out a secondary COGS, or a secondary cost of goods sold, which we all call pour cost. Or food cost is exactly the same. Food cost is the cost of the food you sold to create the dish, but it again doesn't include labor or the building or operations. So it's not a true cost of goods sold. So hospitality has created these metrics within itself in order to try and mitigate the inefficiencies within standard KPIs. If we look at what they should be tracking, it's pretty simple. It's how they make their money. It's food cost, it's pour cost for the beverage program, and it's labor cost. Those three things will determine the success or failure of the operation. That's it.
If you had a magic wand and could fix one operational bottleneck in hospitality, food and beverage, what would it be?
I mean, obviously, I'd choose draft beer because it is the highest margin. It is the largest opportunity within hospitality. Efficiency and inefficiency is everywhere, and the best operators are the ones who are most efficient, not only with their labor but with their cost of goods. For us, we would we would put ourselves out of business. We'd fix draft beer because when you're losing 20% of a product that you sell for 5 or 6 times its cost, then you are able to make a lot more money. You want to fix something in hospitality? Let's wave the wand and get rid of all the losses within their liquor, wine, and beer program. Overnight, an average restaurant will add $40,000 or $50,000 to the bottom line. It's the cost of a manager. It's the cost of a car. At this point, within the beverage programs, people pour a car down the drain every year, and that's insane to say. So we want to fix something in hospitality. Let's give every owner and every operator in the country a new car. Congratulations, you've got yourself a new car because you did the right thing.
That should be a marketing thing.
That should be a marketing thing right there. That's the reality. Our average location loses $35,000 a year in just beer. Forget liquor. Liquor's on top of that. But the big ones, like I could tell you some locations that sell hundreds and thousands of kegs. It's millions of dollars a year. It's absolutely insane that we accept these losses as a normal aspect of doing business. It's crazy.
Well, you got to go.
That should be the marketing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Another snippet. There you go.
Right.
Let's switch gears here. So data, technology, and AI. How has technology changed beverage management in the last 5 years?
In the last 5 years, the last 5 years haven't been as dynamic as I would have expected. I think the COVID shutdowns, what happened to hospitality around COVID, really changed things. The way that everything came out of COVID really changed things. So if we were to take out 2020 to 2022, let's say the last 3 years, or we could say the last 10. In the last 10, it's been significant because the cost of technology and evolving technology has become significantly cheaper. There's no question. Hospitality is a bit of a Luddite industry. Hospitality is the last industry to get technology because it is very dynamic and extremely difficult, not only to operate within as an operator, but to sell into hospitality is very hard. So technology comes to hospitality last. But in the last 3 years or so, things have changed dramatically, especially with the inclusion of AI data systems, because you're able to take the information now and actively manage it in real time to create insights that would take months or years. I'll give you a good example. There is a singular company that provides data to the hospitality industry. Everybody would know them. They are significant in their size, and they're pretty much the only player when it comes to information technology and data systems. All hospitality operators buy the information from this company. But today, you can do the exact same thing with an AI, the snap of the fingers. All you need is the data sets to start with. So not only has AI come to hospitality, but it's starting to evolve the way that operators exist. Now, it's just starting in hospitality because, again, hospitality is behind the times when it comes to technology. You give this 3 more years, it'll be everywhere. And in some cases, we won't see it. In some cases, the guest, us, when we go to dinner, we won't notice because the servers that take care of us every day when we go out to eat will still be the same. But their marching orders are going to come from AIs. The KPIs that they operate under will come from APIs. They'll be data managed because the AIs are able to splice the data to such granularity that they're going to be able to see insights that we've never known before. Now, with that said, though, we're talking about AI data systems that have to be implemented. So it's going to come to the large chains first. And it's going to change the way that we make reservations. It's going to change the way that we buy things. It's going to change the menus and cost of the menus and the prices on the menus. It's going to alter everything that they're doing, especially in the national chains. But when it comes to lower level mom and pop locations, which are the bulk of restaurant operations, it's going to take a long time, and maybe never, because if it's in a family and they've got 3 or 4 restaurants, are they ever going to employ AI systems to make data decisions for them? Probably not. But the big companies, absolutely. And they're pushing to do it because, again, they have to be maximally efficient. The more efficient you are in hospitality, the better chance you have of making 10%.
Wow, that's a very wholesome answer. Thank you. Are operators actually using the data available to them, or just collecting it?
So it really depends, of course, because everything depends. But the use of the information becomes the problem. It's just an example. Like we take about 45,000 data points from an individual client every single day. And it's just too much information for a person to look at, like to think about. It's a flood of data. So our actual job is to take that information and filter it into usable bits or usable points that we can provide to an operator that they can look at within 10 or 15 seconds, know what they have to do, and get on with their day. Hospitality is busy. Hospitality is managed. Like it is a very busy industry. Things are swirling all around you all the time. You have all kinds of systems that may or may not be working. You have guests yelling at you from the front door, and you've got service staff trying to make it happen at the same time. So when it comes to actually using the information, the best operators will use it, but they focus on small things that they can absorb quickly to make meaningful changes and impact to their business without getting too deep in the weeds. If you get too deep in the data, now the data, there's a point where the data stops helping you and starts taking more time. So the trick isn't to have all the data. The trick is to provide it to operators in meaningful chunks that they can use every single day without being buried in information. When it comes to data systems and AI data systems specifically, that's the genius. The AI systems, in theory, can crunch all of this information, can take millions and billions of data points to provide the 2 or 3 small things that an operator can absorb quickly and go back to running the restaurant. Because at the end of the day, the job of a hospitality operator is to take care of the guest. That's it. All these data systems are there, and everything that we're doing to help these operators only exists to help them get back to their actual job. And if we can use AI systems to streamline the data and make their day more efficient, we are in a much better place as an organization, and our industry is in a better place to move forward progressively of being buried in the onslaught of data that is possible from, I mean, all of us, you, me, everyone around us, we're buried in information all day, every day. The same is true as in hospitality. And that's where the AIs excel, is helping us to highlight those issues and those individual metrics without burying an operator in too much information.
Wow, thank you. Where do you see AI playing a role in beverage forecasting or inventory optimization?
So it has less on the inventory side than you might expect. When it comes to AI use within inventory, you think about predictive analysis for new incoming products. Of course, the use of AI around predicting equipment issues or in equipment situations, we do that, of course. And that's fairly straightforward. But where the AIs are really pushing is on the data management aspect, on what are people buying? How are the menus being perceived? What products within the menu mix are more profitable? How do they become more profitable? Where within the menu is a particular menu item listed, and how do people perceive that menu item? So AIs are less on the inventory side simply because it is accounting at some level, but more on the actual menu and data analysis aspects, which I think is going to be a long-term trend because the inventory parts are good. They're good at handling all the information, and they're good at predicting changes, but the real impact of the AIs are going to be within the data management side.
Thank you. Do you believe automation will replace some traditional bar management processes?
We're seeing it now. We see it at every single McDonald's. Every quick service restaurant in the country has a kiosk. And is that an AI? Maybe, sure. But the AIs again aren't working at that level. They're taking the data information on the back end. Whereas somebody looking on the big screen in front of us when you walk into a quick service restaurant, what are we looking at first? How are we touching the buttons? What are we pressing backwards? What are we looking at? If we walk away from the tablet screen, when did we leave in the process? So the AIs are handling the human behavioral aspects that have so many pieces and so many data points, whereas the actual bartender in this case could be replaced by a tablet. Like I said, in quick service, we see it already. You can walk into any A&W or McDonald's and order something without ever talking to a person, and it just shows up. I'm really curious to see how that evolves into the kitchen aspect, especially around equipment systems that will be making the food for people. I think that's going to be something to watch over the next few years. We've seen it a few times at trade shows already, but the AIs themselves aren't going to replace the individual bartenders because most likely people are there for a drink. There are automated beverage systems now, sure, but do people want that? I think it's more likely that people will still be behind the bar just listening to instructions provided by the AIs. So if somebody wants a drink, an AI can spit out the preferred recipe for this particular region. Because we think about cocktails, they're very regional. So what you might call one cocktail in Vancouver is different than the same named cocktail in Miami. Just the mix is different or the recipe is different. So I can see a world where AIs are projecting out recipes based on regionality for bartenders. And I can even see a world where the bartenders are answering to the AIs. But having the AIs make the cocktails, I think we're a stretch from that. I think people still enjoy hospitality because people are there.
What's one data insight that completely changes how GMs think about profitability?
20%. 20%. That's your loss rate around beer. 16% around liquor. 8% around food. We want one insight for general managers that they don't understand. No industry on the planet allows 20% shrinkage or loss in their inventory, and they call that acceptable. It's just not. It's not a thing, and it shouldn't be acceptable in hospitality either. But we have, and we are, and we do. And it's crazy. So one insight for general managers and operators, you don't have to accept 20% loss rates around beer or 15% loss rates around liquor. You don't have to accept that. There are systems. Go use them. Make more money.
Okay. Where do you want Bevchek to be in the next 12 to 24 months?
I mean, we're going to continue to grow our process and our technology around the automation of systems and draft beer. We're going to continue to expand how we operate things in the market. Obviously, our international markets require different pieces of technology in the way that things operate and integrate. A large challenge of what we are doing is simply around the hardware aspects of how we implement, because these are hardware systems. These aren't just software data systems. And the implementation of those systems over the next 12 to 18 months, especially internationally, are going to be a significant focus for us. If we can maximize our efficiency in implementation, it means we're obviously able to help our operators more. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, like you said, wave the wand and fix something within hospitality. That's what we're trying to do day in, day out, all around the world. Because at the end of the day, if we do our jobs right, our operators make more money, their staff is paid better. Everybody's lives are better if we reduce the inefficiencies within hospitality. And that's our focus, and that's where we're going to keep going.
Are you focused more on scaling with hospitality or expanding into adjacent industries right now?
We have some opportunities in secondary industries and secondary markets, especially around our CO2 and pressure management systems. It is something that has been proposed to us in a variety of capacities, especially around the world of gases. You know, the welding industry and the hospitality or the hospital and healthcare industry use all kinds of gases, and we can help to manage that. With that said, our specialty is hospitality. There's no question that that's where we're focused, and that's our specialty, not only on a personal level, but as from a company's perspective. We have been in hospitality a long time, and we're going to continue to do so. I don't think we're against the expansion to secondary industries and other industries at large, but the dynamic application of technology within hospitality is a challenge that we have set ourselves to, and we will continue to do so.
Okay. What's the biggest constraint to growth right now? I mean, for your specific company, sales, education, integration, adoption.
It's the sales aspect. There's no question. The fractured nature of hospitality itself doesn't lend towards an easy entry into the market. When you think about hospitality, and even though there are a large number of chains, and I'm sure everyone listening to this can name them off, those large chains, if you combine them all, create a very small segment of the hospitality industry. Most of the industry is not large chains, to the tune of 70%, 80% sometimes, depending on the country. So that nature, the fact that hospitality is extremely fractured, the fact that hospitality doesn't operate like any other business, it is technically business to business, B2B, but it acts more like B2C. The operators are all over the place. Again, it's a very busy industry. Its margins are tight, which means that time is limited. So sales into the market is the challenge. And that is the ongoing focus of what we do to make sure that we are informing and helping operators understand what they can be doing, what they should be doing, and how we can help them.
Okay. What separates high-performing hospitality leaders from struggling ones?
Efficiency. In a word, absolutely. There's nothing more important than efficiency, both within hospitality and without it. Because if you are maximizing your time, you're maximizing every dollar that you spend. From a hospitality perspective, you're maximizing the opportunity with your guest. You're maximizing your staff and how they operate, your beverage mix and how it's functioning. You're using the data management systems to make sure that you are maximizing the efficiency of your menu and how it operates. So without efficiency, you aren't making 10%, and 10% is such a slim margin. It's the difference between success and failure within restaurants.
Okay. How do you personally think about operational excellence for your own company?
How do I personally think about operational excellence? Are we taking care of our client? Are they happy? Are they functioning? Are they getting what they need? Are they getting what they need to be successful and making the most amount of money they can? Are we able to help them have every dollar that they can? Success for us is our clients being able to make $30,000, $40,000 a year. Success is the difference between them existing and them ceasing to be an ongoing concern. Operational success means that our clients make money. And if we can do that with a human touch, that's what we want to do.
Okay. What's one mistake you made early in the building VEVCHEC that shaped your lead today?
Whew, it's quite a long list there. I'm not sure we have an opportunity to go all through those. I think the largest mistake we made early was thinking that it could be done without significant improvements to specific aspects of our program. I think that's we should have upgraded some things sooner. We could have done things a little bit faster, but we make the best decisions we can at the time we can. And even though we could reminisce and go and look backwards to find better solutions today we are blessed with the hindsight of what we made wrong or the decisions we made wrong in the past. So it's easy for us to look backwards and say we could have done things differently, but we made the right decisions we could at the time.
Excellent. If a restaurant owner that's listening right now wants to immediately improve margins, what should they audit this week?
Their well vodka and their draft beer, period. Like those two things, it's the fastest amount of money for the least amount of work that they don't do right now. Get a $10 scale off Amazon or call us for one of our partners, weigh your liquor bottle, you weigh your well vodka every day for the next 2 weeks, and you'll find the money. Weigh your kegs or call us and we'll do your draft beer and you'll find the money. Like it's easy and it's there, but you have to have the willingness to do it and the desire to be that efficient to make the money.
Okay. What does the beverage program of 2030 look like?
I think we're going to see a continued contraction of within liquor and alcohol in general over the next few years. It will swing and it will shift, but I think that's going to be a trend. I also think we're going to see a significantly increased segment of THC based, CBD based, cannabis based drinks and cocktails on tap and in bottles and cans. But also, I think, as we discussed at the start of this, we're going to see more specialized drinks that are targeting specific aspects of a person's health and individual health. Health drinks and what they can do for us are completely unknown at this point. Have they been studied? We're just getting started. We don't know the health benefits of lots of these drinks. Some are going to be great. Some won't do anything. But we'll find out over the next 5 years which ones actually work, and we'll see an increase in those and expansion of that portfolio specifically.
Will fully automated inventory plus AI forecasting become standard, do you think?
Not at all. It's too manual. It's too intensive. We can obviously hope, but I think that AIs will do the data on the back end. So AI-based inventory systems is a bit of a misnomer, I think, just that the AIs will be using the data taken from inventory systems.
Yeah.
So there will be lots of inventory systems and lots of hardware systems to do these things, and the AIs in the cloud are going to be what's crunching the information and data. Will they become standard? Yeah, for the long term, for the locations that are successful, absolutely. Some countries have it already, but the standardization of inventory systems and AI-backed data management will be standard over the next 5 to 10 years, no question. And the reason is that anybody who doesn't have that is not making that extra 20%. They are not making the margins, which means they can't invest the same, they can't grow the same, they can't do the same things as those people that are more efficient. That's it.
Yeah, and if you don't innovate or adapt new technology, you're done.
It's adapt or die.
Yeah.
It's change and grow or fade away. There's only two choices.
Yeah. Do you see predictive ordering replacing reactive ordering?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no question. Like when you think about the amount of data that a manager has to crunch to do their inventory ordering properly, it's specifically designed. It's just perfect for AIs to do it for you. When you think about reactive ordering or manual ordering, let's say, you're looking at your inventory today and you're trying to make guesses on what you're doing tomorrow, and you're probably over ordering on some things and under ordering on other things, because when you look at the kitchen specifically, you've got hundreds of items. You look at the bar, including draft beer, you've got more hundreds of items. The chance that a manager who's getting paid no dollars is doing that properly every single week, 52 times a year, is not possible. If you can apply the technology to make predictive ordering standard, it allows the complete automation of that segment, of that job. So managers can go back to doing the thing they're actually good at, which is taking care of guests. That's what they're supposed to do. So predictive ordering is will be the first thing to standardize because it makes the biggest impact on the business for the least amount of work.
How many businesses do you think actually already have this implemented 100%? Like they don't need to click
Oh,
up any buttons to order
very
anything.
few. Very few. Very few because the companies that provide predictive inventory, just like us, we're building it in real time. Like it's the program that's building and growing, and it's the thing that it's pushing us into the future. But us and every company like us, they're all doing the same thing, but we're all building at the same time, just like AI is being built in real time right now. Like we're looking at Chat GPT 4, I think is about to come out, or
5.
4.5. 5, thank you. Even as AI grows, the systems that are surrounding it grow too. We can only grow as fast as they can.
You should have started that you actually provide predictive ordering because that wasn't mentioned. Now it is. So I'm glad we actually covered that. And that's a
Yeah,
huge
for sure.
thing.
Absolutely. Of course we do, because that's what makes our clients efficient. What do you mean we have to think about our order? No, press the button, beer shows up.
Thank you for joining the podcast. I mean, our viewers will actually love to hear all this information because it's definitely some pretty cool insights into the industry and how you've actually addressed those issues. And the fact that you have predictive ordering, it's amazing. Does it actually
It's an
work
interesting time.
where you don't need to press the button? You basically just keep ordering. And I mean, the system orders it automatically without any input.
But think about it, like it's not only about what you need to have based on sales information. You're talking about trend line and predictive analysis based on weather patterns. You're talking about holidays, all kinds of information
Yeah.
that a manager just calculates in their head.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to be that way.
That's amazing. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for joining the podcast.
I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Chat soon.